What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Hope you guys have been having a great weekend so far, a great Saturday. A lot to discuss in this video as we're trying to break down what's going to happen with this storm system as we're getting into this coming week. I'm talking severe weather, a winter storm for many. Like I said, there could be a severe weather threat. Will there be a big-time tornado threat? I don't think so, but it's something we need to watch and see how it trends as we get into these short-range convective models. So we're really going to try to break down what is going to go on with this winter storm part of this also. We're starting to get inside 100 hours, so we can really start to figure out what's going to happen with this, or at least get a little bit better confidence on who's going to see what. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. If you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. And if y'all want to hit me up on social media, it's a great way to stay up to date with the latest and greatest information. So I hope you all are having a great weekend so far. I do want to mention, areas of the Southeast are really going to warm up this week, even the eastern U.S. in general, the deep South. But there's some craziness going on in the long range, showing a crazy winter storm pretty far south. I'm going to talk about the noise that's starting to show a little bit in the ensemble. So we're going to take a look at the pattern as we get into the last couple days of February and then the first couple days of March, and really see what we're seeing as far as that crazy European model that showed up a little bit earlier today. So what we got going on, I'm going to start off for tomorrow evening. Arctic air dipping down from Canada. This is surging southward. At the same time, you have warm air surging up against it, so you're getting a big-time Arctic boundary. And when I'm saying Arctic air, I mean it's pretty cold. We're getting into Monday evening. We got below zero temperatures showing up here in the Dakotas. Minnesota, very cold air. This is getting into Tuesday morning, and then look at this big time cold front diving in here. Almost looks kind of like a blue northern here. But we get into Tuesday afternoon. You got temperatures into the 70s, the 80s in Texas. Basically all the deep south, the southeast are scorching in the 70s for our late February here. That's pretty warm, well above average. But you have a big time Arctic boundary setting up here. It's going to be one of them situations where the temperatures drop throughout the day in Oklahoma, portions of Texas, Missouri, as a big time Arctic boundary sets up. And the reason I'm showing you guys this is because this Arctic boundary, low pressures are going to ride this Arctic boundary. We've talked about this before and how this works, as we've discussed two prior systems that have kind of done the same thing. And as we're moving here in time, we're getting into Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon. How far southeast does this Arctic boundary settle up in this cold front? Not sure yet, but check it out. Wednesday afternoon, temperatures only at around freezing around Dallas, and even colder to the north and west. So trying to figure out where this is going to set up is a big question mark. Going through the rest of the week, that becomes an even bigger question. So let's look at the Euro. What is the Euro showing? We're going to briefly roll over the system, and then trust me, we're going to get much closer to all these certain areas like Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, the Ohio Valley, the Northeast. We're going to show all these regions, guys, so stick with me if you really want to know what your region could potentially see. But looking at the system as a whole, there's about 2 or 3 different pieces, maybe even 4 pieces that ride along this Arctic boundary. So what happens here, we're getting into Monday morning. If you're confused at what day we're at, this is what we call Zulu time. So it's really hard. I don't want to get deep into this. One day I'll have to make a video of what Zulu time is. But basically 12Z Monday, think of 12Z as around Monday morning. We're getting into 18Z, think of that as around noontime, afternoon time. OOZ Tuesday, think of that as Monday evening. Okay, now I would just focus on the day, and I'll try to tell you what part of the day it is. But getting into Monday afternoon, Arctic boundary settling in south. You already have some moisture showing up here. This could be in the form of some severe thunderstorms, and I'll get a closer look at this here on the NAM coming up here in a second. So stick with me if you want to know about the severe weather threat. As we're getting into Tuesday morning, low pressure develops, a ton of moisture shoots up through here, through the Mississippi Valley, the Mid-South, the Ohio Valley showing up here, but the cold air is still pretty far north. So you have ice showing up in Iowa, ice showing up in Wisconsin, snow for Minneapolis and Minnesota, Wisconsin. This would be all snow, and this actually looks to be all rain for areas like Chicago as we're getting into our Tuesday midday, and then to our Tuesday evening. Low pressure continues to ride into Canada. and winter weather spreading into southeast Canada with ice turning to snow for areas of Wisconsin and Minnesota, places like that. This continues to move. This is an all-rain event for the Northeast. Stick with me, guys. I'm going to get much closer. And then we look at this next system. Arctic boundary settling in further south. You have frozen precipitation, freezing rain, sleet, snow breaking out over portions of Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Ohio Valley. It's getting very close to Kentucky. Another area of moisture develops. Same thing, freezing rain, sleet, and snow. And this moves, both of these move into the Northeast. What happens after that? Check this out. Arctic boundary kind of flattens out in general here. And then you have a overrunning event that's all snow that stretches from Oklahoma all the way through Virginia. Then as we're getting into next Monday morning, it's showing a snowstorm for North Carolina, Virginia, and the Mid-Atlantic. Now, when you see all this, please do not think, okay, well, it's going to snow, big snowstorm coming in 8 to 9 days. No. This is at the range what we call Fantasyland still. It's not super far out in Fantasyland like it's 2 weeks out, but this is not reliable. This is the first model run that's showing it. The GFS is showing something in this range too, but nothing quite like the Euro, which has a significant winter storm to round off your February into March 1st. So let's take a look at the severe weather threat here. This is for Monday, and this is really for Monday evening into Monday overnight. A slight risk has already been introduced. We'll see if this uptrends. I don't think anything has trended to tell us that this is going to get upgraded to an enhanced risk at day 2. But who knows? By the time we get to day 1, we'll have to see how it goes. But marginal slight risk. This slight risk includes almost Memphis, includes Little Rock, Arkansas, Shreveport, Louisiana, and definitely not quite into Dallas. So we have to watch this. And what's going on here? Let's take a look at the latest now. We're just getting in range here. So this is for around Monday evening. Getting, like I said, Monday evening. You already got moisture. You already got a little bit of storm action showing up in areas of Kentucky, Tennessee, around Nashville. Watch out. Maybe a little bit of elevated storms over there. And then we're getting into the overnight hours. I'm talking about it's dark. It's probably about 11 p.m., midnight, 1 a.m. Tuesday morning. And then this is the last frame of the NAM, showing these storms firing up here. What's going to be the highest severe level threat with this? Well, I think there's a low-end risk of tornadoes, and I think there'll be like a 2%, maybe 5% risk of a tornado, 25 miles in any given location in whatever area they hatch this in. But I think the biggest threat here is going to maybe be some hail, as this cold air is riding in from this Arctic boundary, starting to work into a loft above the atmosphere here, above the surface. So there might be a little bit of some steep lapse rates in this place to create a hail threat, maybe some damaging winds. So watch out Arkansas, maybe eastern Oklahoma, and this might work its way as you get deeper into Tuesday morning for areas like Little Rock. So we're watching this. And what's going on here? Well, it's pretty much your classic warm air advection. You got this moist air. These are dew points. So you got dew points surging in here into the 50s and 60s, into Arkansas, even into areas of southern Missouri, eastern Oklahoma. So you have some moist air to work with, and that's one component you need for severe weather is surface moisture, which you will have. No, you don't have dew points in the 70s or anything, but you will have dew points into the 60s as you're getting into your Monday evening, overnight Monday into Tuesday. So you have some moisture to deal with. You look at the low-level jet that cranks up in response to this low pressure that starts to kind of eject itself, if you will. This is really just a positively tilted trough, so I don't think it's as robust as the one as far as how it's digging. I don't think it's as robust as the one that happened a few days ago here. But a low-level jet gets kicked up here, right where this moist air is, and I think you'll have a little bit of cape, which I'll show you here as we get into tomorrow. I think it's important to really show how much convective energy these storms are showing, or these models are showing, as we get a little bit closer into these short range, because it always uptrends. But you're going to have some kinematics in place. Remember, when I say kinematics, I mean the wind profiles, wind energy. So you're going to have a little bit of shear in place, really just speed shear, a little bit of directional shear. So there's going to be a little bit of a spin to the atmosphere, but like I said, I don't think that the environment supports any kind of big-time tornado threat here. So that being said, let's go on and switch to the winter weather part of this. So looking at the winter weather side of this, what we're going to do is we're going to break down the European model. I think as we get into tomorrow, we'll make a longer, more detailed version of comparing and contrasting the European GFS. And tomorrow evening, we'll be into these short-range models so we can really start looking at that. So we're going to work our way and start with the south-central U.S. That includes the states you see: Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Kansas. Then we're going to work our way to the Ohio Valley and then take a look at the Northeast. So here we go. And we're starting off. This is for Wednesday morning. As you're waking up, freezing rain. Arctic boundary is already setting up right here. Cold enough for just north and northwest of Dallas for freezing rain. As we're working our way into our Wednesday afternoon, freezing rain into Oklahoma City, Oklahoma in general, the same areas that got hit a few days ago. But Dallas, according to the Euro, stays mostly rain, but it's freezing rain just north of y'all. And this could trend a little colder. We have to watch it, but the European has been pretty solid with as far as where the boundary of frozen precipitation is going to set up and just rain. So as we're getting into late Wednesday evening, freezing rain begins to overspread into the northern part of Arkansas, the Ozarks. Freezing rain setting up in areas of southern Missouri. All snow maybe for areas of central Missouri. We'll have to watch. It's going to be a winter battleground as far as what's going to fall and where's going to fall. Where's it going to fall and who's going to see what, basically, is what I'm trying to say without jumbling up all my words here. These longer videos, guys, it seems like I start to lose a little bit of steam as we get towards the end, but I'm jagged up on some energy right now, so I'm trying to rock and roll through this. But check it out, the Quad States region, rain, maybe some freezing rain. This looks like all nasty ice for southern Missouri and the northern Arkansas area. We'll have to see how that trends. And then we have another area of expansive precipitation that shows up as we're getting into Thursday morning. Same situation. Arctic boundary kind of is stalled here. So the same kind of frozen precipitation almost falls in the same areas. Another wave of freezing rain for like Oklahoma City. Like I said, just west of Dallas, setting up here. Moving forward here in time, maybe this wave is warm enough though. Maybe the Arctic boundary retreats enough, or just, like I said, just retreats north. And then you have all rain where you had ice maybe 24 hours prior in Arkansas, and all rain in areas of Missouri and places like that. Moving forward, this moves on out as we get into later Thursday into Friday morning. Let's go and look at the Ohio Valley. I want you to focus up here too, because as this Arctic boundary is surging south, you're going to have your own little winter storm up here for areas like Wisconsin, Minnesota, the northern Great Lakes area, the northern area of Michigan up here is going to see a lot of winter weather. This is getting into late Monday night into Tuesday morning, and you have an all-out boundary of freezing rain setting up, like a corridor of freezing rain, including, I think Milwaukee will be cold enough for some freezing rain. Chicago will likely be warm enough for just rain. But central Michigan, freezing rain showing up here. Southern Wisconsin, freezing rain showing up here. And this system will be significant on its own. And we're getting into Tuesday morning now. An all-out ice storm showing up for areas of Iowa. Southern Wisconsin continues to see freezing rain. And then some heavier snow moves in for folks like Minneapolis, places like that who have not really seen, in the way of really any big-time winter storms this year. This could be a significant one for you guys. Low pressure tracks right through Chicago. This is all heavy rain for areas south. Something I haven't mentioned as we're about 13 minutes in this video. A lot of heavy rain is going to fall in these areas down here in Kentucky and Tennessee. Even the Ohio Valley will see a lot of heavy rain. This low pressure moves through. I'm telling you, I know we don't talk about these regions up here a lot because y'all are accustomed to winter weather, but this could be an impactful winter weather event for you guys. Getting into Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoon, here comes the next wave. Arctic boundary is then settled south now, so you got all this freezing rain. I've already mentioned Missouri, but as we're getting into Illinois, southern Illinois could see freezing rain. Watch out the northern counties of all of Kentucky. Y'all might be all freezing rain with this, and then the first piece of energy kind of fizzles out as we're getting into Thursday afternoon, but enough to put some freezing rain, maybe some cold air damming setting up for Virginia, maybe Maryland, a little bit of snow, freezing rain showing up in southern Ohio. Then here comes the next system. The next system might be warm enough where it's all rain. So if this first system, technically the second system, if you're counting that system up here, if the second system doesn't produce a lot of frozen precipitation in Ohio Valley, then the second one might be too warm, or the third one, whatever you want to call it. It's the second or third one. So we watch this, but this is a good look for Chicago as we're getting into overnight Thursday into Friday morning. If y'all want snow, you're definitely pulling for this because the Arctic boundary kind of retreats north, if you will. Therefore, the low pressure track moves a little bit further north. Therefore, it puts y'all on the axis of more heavier precipitation, and y'all are cold enough for snow. And then moving forward here, we're about to take a look at the Northeast here too. But this is to be an impactful snowstorm for areas like Michigan. Moving forward here in time, first system for you guys as we're getting into Tuesday, all rain for everybody except maybe some higher elevations of the mountains of the northern areas of the Northeast. But northern Maine, it might stay all freezing rain. This might be a significant freezing rain event for areas like Caribou, Maine. That moves through, mostly rain for everybody. Then we get into Thursday morning. Here comes a wave of precipitation, mainly for areas of the southern areas of the mid-Atlantic. All rain for Virginia, but maybe the northern area of Virginia, maybe a little freezing rain. Remember, guys, these are just one model runs. This is all can change. Then this is what I worry about for the Northeast. Watch this. This is scary looking right here. This is a lot of ice showing up early Friday morning of this coming Friday. A lot of ice showing up for Pennsylvania, all snow. Then it's a big time front end thump of snow for areas of Vermont, New Hampshire, the upstate areas of New York. A lot of freezing rain showing up for areas of the interior areas of New England. And then it moves on through. Now I will mention, for you folks in the Northeast, the GFS looks much different, right? Here comes the GFS. The GFS is a much more significant winter storm for you guys because it keeps the low pressure track south. More cold air is in, and because of that, because the cold air suppresses the low pressure track south. And this is an impactful event. Friday morning, all-out snowstorm for New York City, all-out snowstorm for Boston as we're getting into Friday afternoon, and even wintry weather all the way down to Washington, D.C., definitely Baltimore, Philadelphia is a wintry mix, and this would be an impactful winter storm for you folks. It certainly would be. So this is when we're going to start to compare and contrast the GFS and the Euro really tomorrow, because there is some differences, especially when you get to the latter part of the storm for the Northeast, and it's just something we need to watch. As far as ice totals, they're starting to trend up for the ice totals. And I know this is the national blend of models, so you're not going to see these ridiculous ice totals showed by the GFS and the Euro because it doesn't account for any kind of melting. So national blend of models is a really good thing to look at, but you're starting to see that area of dark pink showing up, which is when you start to get above a 1/4 inch of ice, little pockets of it in southeast Oklahoma, the Ozarks of areas of Arkansas. But this is a solid glaze of ice showing up. As far as how much snow is showing for this region, well, this is what's showing. Not a whole lot, but that's a solid area of snow showing up between now and this next coming weekend between the duration of these storms. Several inches of snow starting to show up. Now, I almost mentioned these areas into Missouri, Kansas City saw several inches, well over a 1/2 foot of snow in Kansas City, and it was showing a lot less totals this far out from the National Blend of Models. So this is a solid signal from the National Blend of Models, which I really like to show people because, it, like I said, it blends all the models together. But solid snow signal showing up here. We go on and move to the Ohio Valley, and what are we showing here? Well, there's that corridor of ice showing up. But then look up here. This area doesn't see a whole lot in the way of ice during the winter. It's normally all cold enough for all snow at all levels of the atmosphere. So this would be an impactful ice situation for you folks. So that's a solid signal. You got a glaze of ice all the way to a 1/10 of an inch. Certain areas a little higher than that. And then as that second and third wave moves through, you have that signal for ice showing up down here too. As far as how much snow is showing, solid signal, right? This could be a big winter storm for these areas and areas of the Dakotas into Minneapolis. Y'all could see a big time winter storm. I know 9 inches isn't nothing crazy for that area, but it's still a lot of snow for anybody. And then Wisconsin, especially central to northern Wisconsin, northern areas of Michigan, a lot of snow could fall. But then look at the snow showing up for the Ohio Valley. Look, when you look at this as just a signal, a solid signal for a winter storm coming about the midway of this coming week. Look at it like that. So we look at the Northeast, a glaze showing up almost everywhere. So there's going to be some freezing rain out here. As far as snow, solid signal. In fact, the National Blend of Models, leans a lot more towards the GFS, showing 1/2 foot of snow for Boston between now and next weekend with this storm system. A lot of interior snow for these areas like the ski country, and then northern Maine is going to get hit hard potentially. I really think they will. And then a solid signal for the entire state, just about of Pennsylvania. But New York City, you're included. So I think that areas a little bit further south, watch the GFS. I'm gonna watch to see if the Euro leans towards the GFS in time. and see how this happens and how this works itself out. We're going to compare and contrast. Remember, we're going to compare and contrast tomorrow, really, the models. And it'll probably be like a 30-minute video, but I'm going to break it all down for you guys. So as far as rainfall, it's just as dangerous, right? So there's going to be flooding risk for these areas: Tennessee, Kentucky, areas of the western deep south like Mississippi, Arkansas. A lot of rain is going to move through these areas because these low pressures are going to move north of this area. It's going to bring waves, just waves after waves of moisture as this Arctic boundary settles. This happens every time an Arctic boundary settles right. Wherever the Arctic boundary sets up, normally just south of it, if low pressures are riding that boundary, normally means that those areas are going to see a lot of rain. So anywhere between now and next weekend, several inches of rain is possible in these areas. Pockets of over 5 inches of rain is possible. So we'll have to watch. As far as that signal I was mentioning on the European model, it showed that crazy snowstorm on the operational Euro at 12Z earlier this afternoon. There is some noise here. Now, a lot of this up here is for the system that's going to move through this week. But you look down here, there's a solid signal into the Carolinas and Tennessee and Virginia. That is a signal showing up for the last day or two of February into the first couple days of March. Solid signal showing up here of something. And I'll show you why here. And this is the last thing we'll look at and we'll wrap this video up. Right now we have what you call a negative PNA, which basically means there's ridging. There's pretty much an Arctic boundary set up in the middle of the country, and you have ridging in the east and then troughing in the west, which means you have cold air in the west, warm air in the east. What happens is the pattern flips as we're getting into next weekend. And really not even next weekend, really probably I would say next week, not this coming week, but next week into the the last day of February. All of a sudden you get a positive PNA, which is ridging in the west. So this tall ridge builds all the way up into northern Canada. This allows for Arctic air to kind of funnel down here. The one thing you don't have is a negative NAO, which is blocking over Greenland. So you really need that for a nice storm track along the eastern U.S. But this is a solid signal for cold air for the eastern U.S. and potentially a storm to work its way out. So you got ridging up and around Alaska. We have to see how this is going to play out. But this is a signal, 9 to 10 days out that there might be some kind of storm system a little bit further south than what we've been seeing over the last several weeks. So we'll watch it. It's been pretty quiet for areas like the Carolinas and the southern air states as far as winter weather since that active January where it seemed like every weekend we were getting at least a small event. So we'll see if we're going to close out winter with a bang because there's a lot of mumble chatter going on about the potential for something brewing. So stay tuned to your local sources and reliable sources. And that's all I got, guys. I'll get y'all dual videos tomorrow and updated. We got an active week coming up. Sorry ahead of time if I get sloppy with any of my videos, but the thing that sucks, guys, is, I love it, but the thing that's unfortunate is when you have these systems where you have so much going on with a flooding threat, the severe weather threat, the winter weather threat, all into one system, you got to break down each individual thing and maintain that same energy with each individual thing you break down. So sometimes you just lose a little bit of steam. But I try to keep y'all informed. My kids are yelling in the background, so I'm going to wrap this up. But God bless everybody. Y'all stay safe tonight, and I'll talk to y'all in the morning.